Welcome to another delicious episode of Band Stripped. Our special guest in studio tonight is none other than Lucas.J, a new and upcoming singer-songwriter with a very original vibe, a very cool vibe. And he's in studio with us. He'll be talking to us about his journey and his approach to songwriting, as well as playing us 3 songs. Lucas.J on Band Stripped. Lucas, welcome to the Band Stripped studio.
Hi, how are you, man?
Like man. All good. Now, this is new for you. This is the first time you've been on the station, right?
It's the first time.
Okay, and your single "I'm Your Man" is being playlisted.
Cool.
I'm sure that feels quite cool when you
Yeah,
hear
it
your
does.
song on the radio.
It does,
It's a
yeah.
cool song. Now, you've had quite an interesting journey. You've got quite a very original vibe. We've had lots of musicians in the studio. We have musicians every week. You've got a very interesting, I've heard your music, so interesting sound and interesting image. But let's not start there. Let's start with your first 2 bands, Pariah and Indigo Rain. Tell us about Pariah and how that evolved and how you evolved into eventually Indigo Rain.
Well, Pariah was like a band that I started in high school with my friends. You know, most musicians, your first band is sort of in high school at some point. You kind of get your mates together and you do it. I was like a heavy metal band, very Pantera inspired, nothing like what I'm doing now. And it just ended because, you know, life just happened. You know what I mean? It kinda
No,
gets-
sure, yeah. You're
kinda-
young,
kinda-
it's nice to be together, but then people grow in different areas, right?
Yeah, it kind of gets to the point where like you're really going to do this or you're not. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
some people want to do that, some people want to do this, some people will.
What was your role in that band?
I played guitar. I just played guitar.
So you didn't do vocals or
No, I
anything
didn't
like
do
that
vocals,
there?
anything like that, no.
Nice, so you guys just busted up, played sort of college venues, that type of thing, parties.
College venue and stuff, but and also the Grahamstown Arts Festival.
Okay.
We'd go down there every year and we'd play there. You know,
Yeah.
that was kind of like our tour kind of thing. But it was really just a good time with your friends, you know. And
Yeah, no, it's a cool
play
thing to do, man.
show,
It's a nice experience, right? I mean, if you didn't enjoy it, you probably wouldn't be doing music now or some part of it.
yeah, but it was really, really heavy.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad thing. It's just
As a
very-
heavy
it's
music.
very-
Listen, when I was younger, my diet consisted of a lot of Sepultura and Dayside. So, but we evolve as human beings, and we get to different things, and different things inspire us.
Yeah, this was sort of like Pantera, Megadeth, kind of.
Yeah.
I'd say our main influence, a bit of Trivium, and then the one guy was into Avenged Sevenfold, so it was kind of that kind of vibe.
I've actually met Dave Mustaine from Megadeth.
You met Dave Mustaine?
Yeah.
What was he like?
I was a very, very cool dude. I used to work for EMI, and Megadeth was one of the bands I worked with. So
Oh wow,
back in the day, it's a long story.
wow.
But anyway, that's the history. And then Indigo Rain. How many years after Pariah was Indigo Rain?
It was kind of right after. So one of the guys in the band passed away.
Yep.
And then I knew that was kind of over, and the other 2 wanted to do something else. There were 4 of us, and then I just, I decided to do Indigo Rain. You know.
So Indigo Rain. Were you Indigo?
Yeah, no, I am Indigo.
You am
I'll always be Indigo. You know.
Indigo Rain. And was there a difference in sound between Indigo Rain and Pariah? Or was
Yeah.
it quite heavy?
Indigo Rain was it's more like a sort of kind of classic rock inspired band. I wouldn't say that it was classic rock,
Mm-hmm.
but it was classic rock inspired. You know,
Yeah.
taking influences from bands like Blackstone Cherry. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mm-hmm. I know where they are. So that inspired tag is a very interesting tag for a band because, like, I don't even know the band Silverchair.
No.
So there's another band called... So Silverchair came out in the 90s. That was part of the grunge era. They were Australian. And there's a band...
Oh yes, no, I have heard of them. Yes, I
Yeah.
have heard of them.
There's a band, I mean, which is probably released about 3 albums, a band called Sick Puppies.
Yeah, I know them.
Now, Sick Puppies started off as a Silverchair tribute band.
But that's true a lot of the time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I mean, if you go back to the history of rock, you look at bands like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Elvis Presley. Those guys also. I mean, Elvis Presley kind of did a lot of covers in his career.
Yeah.
But the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, they started off. The Who, they all started off just doing covers.
That's how they mastered their trade, right?
Yeah.
Chords, rhythms, sequences, all of those things.
and they're influenced by like the black dudes from, Cadillac Records.
Yeah, that's it.
and then those- yeah.
McCartney and Lennon both said the biggest influence were R&B artists from the 50s and 60s.
But when we say R&B, we're talking rhythm and blues. We're
Yeah.
not talking about R. Kelly. We're talking about Muddy Waters. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
exactly, yeah, that's it.
Important distinction to make because
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
younger people. are
Chuck
not gonna-
Berry,
not
that
gonna
type of
get
thing,
yeah.
you know? Yeah, I suppose modern R&B has a
Yeah,
different
I know.
vibe,
So
right?
when you say like
Smooth,
a lot,
silky,
yeah, a lot of people
take
my
off my
age,
shirt. Yeah,
a lot of people
exactly.
my age, if you say I'm R&B, they're gonna be thinking R. Kelly, Luther
Mm-hmm.
Vandross. They're not gonna be thinking Solomon Burke, Wilson Pickett, Jackson
Yeah.
5, you know what I mean?
Now you decided to go to LA a few years ago. Was it a few years ago, right? What inspired you to do that? What made you go there? Why did you do that?
Because I knew that I had to get out of here. Not that I don't like South Africa, but I had to get out of here to go see it,
Was it an inner
Yeah.
voice saying to you, break out? Did you feel it?
Also in a voice saying break out, but also just after being here for a while, I realized that there's things that are that I want to do that are not possible to do.
Right.
It isn't a case of talent or a case of hard work. It's a case of what's possible and what's just impossible. You know what I mean?
Musically, you mean, or
In terms of opportunity.
opportunity? Right.
In terms of like people seeing opportunity in maybe different styles other than like what's like popular now, like
Yeah.
contemporary pop and, hip hop,
Listen, the first part of music is perception, right?
Yeah.
So, as a South African, and you and I both, as non-white South Africans, as musicians, I play alternative rock music.
Yeah.
And I remember as a young person going onto stage, and I was greeted with what I called incomprehension. People didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah, they don't understand what the hell what's going on. And that's the thing that I realized early on is that all the rock bands that were on stage that I'd see were guys who'd been around, like Folkoff and Dan Petlansky and the Polytones to some
Policing
degree, sorry.
Yeah.
But they'd all been around for a while. So we could say like rock's still going, but those guys have been around for a while. But all the new bands were coming through, especially in Pretoria. There was this huge indie rock scene, and it's sort of died down since then. But that's all that they wanted. They just wanted indie bands. You know what I mean? And there were a lot of bands that didn't fit the mold, and we definitely didn't. And it kind of like you end up sort of hating what rejects you. So for a long time, I just hated it.
Yeah. I think, I mean, in different stages of your life, you'll deal with that differently.
Nothing personal against those guys.
Yeah, no,
it's just that you
absolutely.
hear like, this is the scene and we don't fit in. And then everybody who's involved is like, well, we're not going to book you. Doesn't matter how good you are, just.
So whilst in LA, what was the most important thing, do you think, that you discovered about yourself?
About myself,
Yeah.
that I can do it. I can do this.
Musically?
Yeah.
Self-belief,
Self-belief.
the
Yeah.
confidence that you needed?
Because when you go there and you've got the people who've worked with the people that you looked up to, and
They're
they
comparing
tell
you to a bar that's quite high, right?
yeah, and if those people say, hey, you know what, dude, you can do this, then, to come back and, like, let's say someone here at some club says, hey, I don't like you, it just kind of like water off the duck's back, because
You also feel
I
that-
heard it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
You can tell me what you
So
want.
you
but I
feel
heard
that
it from
people
them.
in LA were assessing you purely on your musical talent and your capabilities as an artist, as opposed to anything else, right?
Yeah,
that what you
I also just feel that it's more open to something being new, because like LA sort of, not just LA, but America in a lot of ways kind of dictates what's cool to the rest of the world. So when you're in somewhere else, they might say, well, that's not cool at the moment, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we don't want to book you, or we don't want to do this with you because your sound isn't what's in.
It works both ways, right? They can also dictate what's not cool,
Yeah, what's not cool.
as in sharp
Well,
to do.
Yeah, so in LA, there's more of a thing of, well, hey, this might be the next thing, because people have seen that happen and they've been part of that evolution of that happening. So it's more open to like, well, this isn't in now, but maybe it will be in. You know what I mean? Where people in other countries say, well, it's not in now, like, we can't influence this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Now, your single "I'm Your Man" is a very interesting. It's got a nice groove. It's a very cool song. When did you write the song?
I wrote the song when I wrote it. It was kind of weird. I don't know. I know how I felt when I wrote it, but I don't know. I can't pinpoint
The time.
when exactly I wrote it. I think it was before I went to America for the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what's the story? What's the narrative in the song?
Oh, the narrative in the song is just, I guess, a lot of young people, especially these days, can relate to it, and young men, but just young people in general. Like you just kind of want to push through. You want to make it. You got to have that self-belief that, hey, I can do this. Not just for me, but for like the people around me, for my circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying, "I'm your man. I can do this," or
Yeah, like I'm not a superhero or anything, but I mean, I don't have to be to do this.
yeah,
can do
we
it.
are all superheroes, Lucas. All of us, deep
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
This is Lucas.J with "I'm Your Man." His first single, "Right You and Hot."
I know we're living day to day right now. I could be your man. Just let me be your man. Yeah. There's empty picture frames on the wall. We're gonna fill them up with good times. Ideas in my head right now. We're gonna make it all happen. No, I can't read your mind, girl. I can see through the wall that you're building. Never be your hero, girl, but I could be your man. Just let me be your man. Be your man. Just let me be your man. I got to be your man. Just let me be your man. I got to be your man. Just let me be your man. I got to be your man. I got to be your man. Just let me be your man. I got to be your man. Just let me be your man. Man, your man, your man.
Welcome back to the Band Strip studio with Lucas.J, and that was him with I'm Your Man, right here on Hot 91.9's Band Stripped. Lucas, welcome back, man. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pretoria.
Right, now, Pretoria is a big city known for, Tux FM.
It's not that
And, well, you know, in comparison to South Africa's average size of city, Pretoria is a big city. And a lot of people come from all parts of the country to be part of the Pretoria scene, whether it's studying through university, mainly university students. So it's a big university town.
A lot of people go to Tux. Tux, from what I hear, is big universities.
And obviously there's a big sporting culture, but there's also quite a big entertainment and music culture. I would say not in all genres of music, but in very specific genres of music. What part, if any, do you feel that the places where you grew up, I mean, Pretoria is one of them, but I'm sure you've lived in other areas too.
Yeah.
What part did any of these places play in your music, and how did it play a part in your music development?
In terms of Pretoria? In terms of
Pretoria,
all the places
anyway that you lived.
Well, Pretoria is the
Pretoria.
main one, because that's where I grew up. That's where I went to high school in Pretoria Boys High. So it's weird when you say that, because I don't feel like it was the city. I feel like it was the people that I met in the city.
Fair, no, it's a fair point, yeah.
It wasn't like the culture that was cultivated there. It was very indie, and we didn't fit into that, like I'd mentioned before.
Yeah.
So it didn't really happen like that.
So you became the antithesis to that, as opposed to blending into that.
But not because we were trying to be different for the sake of being different, just because that's what was.
So there was no hipster agenda. It was just a natural, organic flow into.
No, the hipsters were the agenda. If I was a hipster, then it would have worked out. But I'm not. You know.
Yeah.
You know. So there's the people that I met in the city who were into. My longtime guitar teacher, Johan Mayer, you know, he turned me onto a lot of great music.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of mentored me through it. And, you know, taught me how to do a lot of the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
You know.
What about the people that you were talking about? You said more the people that influenced you. What type of people were these? It was your mates that you hung
my
out
friends.
with? Yeah.
So my friends and the people that I grew up around.
Yeah.
You know, and finding like, you know, my mom's like Bob Dylan record, Jimi Hendrix record, stuff like that, and stuff that she was kind of like. She liked this. I mean, she had this huge record collection, and a lot of the stuff that she liked was on one side. The stuff that she didn't really like is all the stuff that I liked, like Jimi Hendrix, and, you know, Dark Side of the Moon, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Did she have the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust?
No, she didn't, but she had Space Oddity.
Oh, Space Oddity.
She had Space Oddity, so that was kind of.
I love David Bowie, by the way.
That was my introduction to Bowie. Yeah.
And when you're sitting and writing now, you've listened to some of these records. Obviously, those records probably had a part. Did you ever listen to the stuff that she liked?
Yeah, I did, of course. I mean, I like it too, but the stuff that I liked just happened to be the stuff in her collection that she liked, but it wasn't her favorite. It was sort of, Jimi Hendrix is like a bit heavy, a bit manic for her.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Now, when you sit and write, what are the things you're writing about now? Why?
There's really no agenda. It's not like I sit down and be like, now we're going to write a song.
Today is politics.
Yeah, today is about politics, and that's what we're going to write. It's kind of just like, I mean, you're a songwriter yourself, There's like, you can work on an idea, you can work on it, and it's not working. And then you have like this 2-hour clarity and you finish the whole song.
So it's feeling, I mean, this feeling and vibe and what you feel in the song, do you find that sort of determines and shapes it as it goes along?
Yeah, it's gotta have like a consistent feel and a vibe, Like, I compare music to film a lot because I love film, and if you look at the great films like Martin Scorsese or Tarantino, there's always like a feel or a narrative that's, not even the narrative, more the feel of it that stays throughout the whole movie from beginning to start. From to end, sorry. And I feel like it's the same with music. If the song's got the same vibe, if you know who you're writing it for and you know the vibe that you're going for, it'll stay the same from the beginning to the end. And I think that's when you got something. Someone will like it if you've been consistent about the emotion that you're feeling.
That will be true for a vibe-driven song.
Yeah.
I think in the music I've heard, there is definitely a rhythm and a tone to your music, which I find it resonates with me, and I enjoy it because of that.
Because a lot of times for me, when people do the thing of like, we're going to write this song about this issue, and it sounds forced, and it doesn't really ever sound like a real song.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Do you know
There've been a few that have escaped.
Yeah, there are a few that have escaped, but I would argue that they were going to be that good anyway, and if you left it to the artist, they would have come up with it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like if Prince called 1999, 1998, it may not have had the same tone, and it would have been the same song.
Yeah, exactly.
As an example.
Exactly.
Songwriting is a very interesting thing. So, in terms of chord structures and things, you've mentioned some of the artists. Now, a lot of the artists you've mentioned, many of them had very intricate pieces of work. When I say intricate, not necessarily complicated, but they were certainly well put together.
Yeah.
They were pieces of art. Every song was a piece of art. That's the way they treated it. Do you find that do you take a conscious or a subconscious approach to songwriting where you approach your songwriting like this? Right, okay, I'm going to create this. I want a certain feeling. I want a certain vibe to it. If I put lyrics on this here, I need to put the right lyric that that matches the tone of the song. Are you shaping it now?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but if you look at David Bowie, sometimes Prince, but more David Bowie, I think, stands out as the one who, like, if you look at his lyrics, and Oasis as well.
Yeah.
It isn't that there's a consistent message. If you look at a song like Champagne Supernova, if you actually read the lyrics, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But the vibe is there, and it can mean something to you. So it's like a subjective offer. It's almost like a montage of lyrics. It's like this goes and together. It all sort of hangs together and make a picture. It doesn't really have to. I mean, especially with David Bowie, a lot of his lyrics, when you actually just read it line by line, trying to make coherent sense, it doesn't. But there's an emotive there.
Yeah, it's writing like a poet.
Feeling there.
Strong metaphors and
that they don't have to have anything to do with each other, but they do, and maybe it means something to me that it doesn't mean to
My
you.
Champagne Supernova metaphor was, it can't be mentioned on radio, obviously, but I thought it meant something completely different from maybe what they intended.
Oh, I think I know.
Yeah. Anyway. And then your next song is called Stereo.
It's called Stereo.
And what's Stereo about?
Well, it's interesting that we just had this discussion because that song is sort of in this vein, and so,
In terms of metaphorical, right, in its nature.
Yeah, in its nature.
Cool. And what were you trying to say in the song? I haven't heard this particular track, so
the song, I think, is at its essence, it's about dreams.
All right.
Yeah, it's about dreams.
Do you have dreams?
Yeah, I have dreams.
What do you like dream about?
Well, when I say dreams, I don't mean like I dream to, like dreams and things that you like, and deep desires, things that you want, things that you're trying to run away from, and kind of what it means to you,
Oh, okay. Anything from like Disney movies to...
Not really Disney movies.
No, I'm kidding, man. I just said that. I was just firing a shot in the air to Disney. All right, this is Lucas.J with his second track on Band Stripped with me, the Eskimo Writer, right here on Hot 91. This is called Stereo.
there's a movie playing in her head. She hides in the sheets underneath her bed. I ask, can we always leave and never stay? But the girl doesn't listen to a word I say. She dreams in stereo. We're just static on her radio. She's a crazy girl out there. It's a crazy world, and she don't care at all. If I told you that it's been hard for me to keep going in my life, would you take it as a sign for me that I need you to pull me through? She dreams in stereo. We're just static on her radio. It's a crazy world out there. She's a crazy girl, and she don't care. 'Cause it's been hard for me trying to get through to you. If I can help you see, then would you help me through? It's been hard for me trying to get through to you. If you can make me see, then would you help? She dreams in stereo. We're just static on her radio. It's a crazy world out there. She's a crazy girl, and she don't care at all. It's been hard for me trying to get through to you. If I could help you see, would you pull me through? It's been hard for me trying to get through to you. If I could help you see, then would you pull me through?
Welcome back to the Unplugged Band Strip Studio. I'm with Lucas.J tonight, and he's been treating us to some of his songs and the stories behind them. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. Lucas, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Which artist do you think, I love asking this question to other artists, which artist do you think has played the biggest role in inspiring you?
In inspiring me?
Yeah.
Wow, that's difficult.
Listen, if there are multiple artists, you
Can I
can
say
say
can I
multiple
slice?
artists it'll create a shape at least. You know?
Better shape. Okay. It's Jimi Hendrix. It
Right,
has to be
okay.
there. David Bowie.
Nice.
Um,
What about Prince?
Prince really inspired me, but I wouldn't say that like in your artistic development, there's stages where you want to be somebody.
Mhm.
You're so influenced, like, I want to be that person. That never happened for me with Prince.
Yeah.
There was a phase where I wanted to be Jimi, and I wanted to be David, but I never wanted to be Prince, like, in that same sort of way.
I'm staying away from a stereotype here on purpose, right? Because most people will meet you immediately are going to say one thing. They can say Lenny Kravitz, right? So I've stayed away from that. You're welcome. But Hendrix is more the vibe that I picked up when I heard Jimi. That's what I liked about it. Hendrix in his time was out of his time.
Yeah.
That's the best. And Bowie in his time was out of his time. And listening to your music, if you related to this artist, whether consciously or not, you must find that some part of them resonates inside you because you've listened to so much of their music so often, right?
But sometimes not even that you have to listen to like the whole catalog. Sometimes like a few songs and they got you.
Yeah.
You're like, I get it. I get where this dude is coming from, and I'm a fan. You know.
Which is your favorite Bowie song?
Life on Mars.
Okay, nice choices. Life
on Mars.
Bowie's got the most incredible catalog. And was there anything in popular music culture? When I say popular music, things that were more
Like
the
now,
mainstream.
today. Contemporary or like?
Yeah.
Contemporary.
Yeah, that influence you.
Well, I like Bruno Mars.
I love Bruno Mars. I think he's an amazing
Bruno Mars,
vocalist.
you know,
Yeah.
because he's got it. You know, he's got it. He's got the vibe. It doesn't sound like I'm listening to synthesized. Like, whose song is this?
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like I'm listening to Bruno. Because a lot of pop artists these days, it's like this person writes, this person produces, this person does this person does that, this person does that. I guess the point where like, whose song am I listening to?
Yeah.
And how can we call it art? I mean, I guess technically it is art, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know who this is. I don't know what you're trying to show me or what I'm supposed to be thinking about when I listen to this, because it's so many people.
Yeah.
Like if I listen to Bruno Mars, I know that it's him. I can hear in all songs there's a common thread that runs through all of his work. You know.
Yeah.
Same with Ed Sheeran. I don't like Ed Sheeran as much as I like Bruno Mars, but I can hear that it's Ed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can respect that, even if other times I don't like all the artists, but I can definitely respect that.
What about people like John Mayer?
Yeah, well, I thought you meant contemporary. John Mayer, I wouldn't say contemporary. I mean, his first album came out 2001, but I'm a big John Mayer fan. So, but I'd say that's
I discovered a new single of his, which I see it hasn't been released yet, but they've published like a YouTube version of like a lyric video of this new song, and it's just outstanding.
Yeah.
It's all beats driven, so something different, but it was outstanding. It was
But it still sounds like John.
I watched it 10 times last night. It was
But it still sounds like John, right?
absolutely.
But that's the thing. That's why I like him.
It's unmistakable when you hear his voice
exactly.
and his vibe. It's definitely
Gary
John
Clark
Mayer vibe.
Jr. Gary Clark Jr. is another one.
Yeah.
I know him. You know, it's definitely him. And there are some big pop stars that I do like. You know, Michael Jackson, the biggest of all time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like him, and hip hop as well. There's a lot of great hip hop groups from the '90s, especially.
I like you started with grey hip hop groups just to put that into that
Yeah.
area.
Wu-Tang Clan and whoever else.
From everything we've mentioned, I mean, it's quite a wide array of artists, right? No single one being alike. They're all very original. And coming back to image, how do you think, I mean, you've got quite an original image. We've met lots of musicians, and I can safely say that there's certain genres that musicians come with that have a certain image that goes with it. How do you think, and there's no right or wrong, it's just what you are, right? How do you think your image reflects on who you are?
Completely. It reflects completely. It is who I am.
It is who you are.
Yeah. This isn't like a thought out thing. It's just, this is who I am.
Just happened.
I don't understand this thing of like, let's go and think about this for a few months. It just seems disingenuous to me.
Yeah, so it
don't understand.
just is what it is, right?
It just is what it is. I don't understand the thing of trying to be someone else or trying
No,
to.
listen, I mean, it's a fair question, because wherever you go, that question is going to be asked in terms of what is your image. That's not the question we asked today. We said, how does your image reflect who you are? But a lot of people are going to ask you about your image, and it's something that ultimately with fans, whether it's fans, media, etc., they're going to be curious to know, because you don't look or sound or act like most of the musicians in this country. There's something unique about that. And the first thing that people in the industry will tell you...
How do they act? I don't know how they act.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know, because I've been around many of them, so I can say that to you. So that's something that's going to stand out, and your indifference, whether it's image-wise, whether it's music-wise. The one thing we always talk about is originality in music. And all the artists you mentioned in their time came across as incredibly original.
But they were still heavily influenced, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel to be original.
Yeah.
You can use the same chords and the same lyrics, but it's just got to be you.
Just sand it down, give it a nice polish, and make it you.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Put your name in there.
It's not complicated, but it's also really difficult. You know what I mean?
Now, I got quite excited earlier when you mentioned that you're going to be doing a Jimi Hendrix song, All Along the Watchtower.
All Along the Watchtower.
Now, do you remember the first time you heard this? How old were you?
I remember the first time, I heard it and realized what I was listening to. And
And what was the sense of joy you had when when you've played it for the first time, when you were able to play it for the first time?
I thought it was great, because it's like a surreal take again, like we talked about David Bowie, and I think that Bob Dylan does the same thing too. It's like a collage. It's like there's an imagery to it,
Yeah.
and it evokes a sort of an emotion.
Yeah.
It makes you feel something.
Fantastic. So you're going to spoil our audience tonight with your version of Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower.
Let's do it.
Fantastic. This is Lucas.J with his version of All Along the Watchtower, right here on Bandstripped on Hot.
There must be some kind of way out of here, said I'm joking to the thief. There's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. Businessman, baby, drink my wine, plowman, dig my earth. Now we're level on the line, nobody up at his word. No reason to get excited, the thief he kindly spoke. There are many here among us who feel their life is but a joke. But you and I, we've been through all that, and this is not our fate. So let us stop talking falsely now, the hour's getting late. Watchtower, princess kept the view, while other women came and went, barefoot servants too. Outside in the cold distance, a wildcat did growl. Two riders were approaching now, and the wind began to howl.
Welcome back to the Bandstripped studio. Lucas, thank you so much for being a part of our Bandstripped interview and playing us your 3 songs.
It was a pleasure to be here, man. Thank you.
Now, final question. I always say to our fans out there who want to follow you, and the fans should be following you and supporting and buying your music, where can they find you?
Well, Instagram, we got Lucas.J Official, J-A-Y, Lucas.J Official. On Twitter, it's LucasJI5, and Facebook is Lucas.J Official.
Fantastic. Well, people, you've heard it from Lucas. You know where to follow him. And your music is available where at this stage? If people wanted to buy your songs, where can they buy it from?
On all platforms. Apple
So
Music.
Google, Apple,
Yeah.
Spotify, the works.
The works, man. The works.
Fantastic. Just Google Lucas.J, that's Lucas space J, and you'll find the man of the hour. Lucas, thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
man.
I wish you all the best, my man.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Hot 91.9.
Playing the best old school and R&B.